Hey, it's Jon Cook with Keynote Content. I wanted to connect with you today and share with you this idea of a content ecosystem. So many different speakers, coaches, consultants, podcasters, YouTubers, corporate trainers I talk with, they say, I'm creating content, but I don't have a context for it. I'm not sure exactly what I'm doing, what direction it's going, and what it's supposed to accomplish. So I'm going to share with you the idea of building out a content ecosystem, how you can build this out even in a single day, and what that does for generating better interest for your leads, for those ideal clients that you have coming into your business to start to get the momentum you need, changing lives, creating an impact, creating a sustainable, really a great cash flow for you and your business, and creating that greater impact through your message. So first thing I want to talk about is this idea of an ecosystem. You've gone through biology class, you've gone through different science classes, this idea of an ecosystem. You have this kind of a self-sustaining, self-feeding, and self-nurturing and growing system that's built in, whether it's on the biology sector or whether it's from a business standpoint. You can build this in with your content. So thinking about your system inside your business, saying, what is this supposed to do? This content is really feeding into itself, into these larger, more valuable pieces of the system that starts to generate this outcome for a greater tomorrow. So this idea of you have a central hub inside an ecosystem, you kind of have that hub. This idea of like a large wheel, and that on that large wheel essentially is like this big, what's the main thing? What's that main focus? And for many people, think of like a beehive. That main focus is the hive, but inside that hive is the queen. And so the worker bees have to protect the queen, they have to feed the queen, make sure that she's laying eggs, making sure that she's growing the hive and the colony in that regard. But it's all about the hive, all about that central focus part of things. But outside of the hive, you have also these outposts. So you have, hey, pollinators, these worker bees, the gatherers, whatever it might be, just using this idea of like a hive. You have all these different outposts or these different feeders that are feeding into the health and the growth of the hive. Let's take that concept, let's bring it into your business, whether you're a coach, consultant, whatever it might be, saying, okay, you have these big topics, these big things that people come to you for. Let's say that you're a financial advisor, like you do coaching for people with their finances, saying, okay, debt might be the big emphasis. Hey, getting out of debt, so like debt free. So going from debt to / debt free. This concept of saying like, hey, debt is crushing so many different families all over the world because of the fact that whether it's student loans or whether it's upside down from like a car payment or whatever it might be, saying debt is really holding back your financial momentum for the future. How do you help me get out of debt? A lot of people are asking those questions, but they're asking a lot of other questions surrounding that big question, like how do I get out of debt? Saying like, hey, how do I get rid of my credit cards? So if we were to take this concept of saying like, hey, if we're building out a content ecosystem, instead of saying like, hey, we're just going to create one big piece of content about getting out of debt, that's great, but there are other questions that are surrounding it. So before we really get into the other parts of building out this ecosystem, you need to identify what is one of those big key topics, whatever it might be in your business. And you might think, I don't even know how to identify what is that key topic. Saying, what is it, the theme that you keep coming back to again and again and again? And a trap I want you to be careful of is your offer or your solution, your product is not the hub. It is not the center. The problem connected to your solution, that is the hub. That is the big area of focus. So whatever it might be, saying like, okay, why did you create that course and community? Why did you create that coaching program? Whatever it might be, saying it's got to be connected to that main topic, that main problem in the hub, but there are other questions surrounding it that are all feeding into that main topic. So again, back to this idea of debt free. Like if you're somebody who's helping people get out of debt, that might be like, hey, that's the big problem. People keep coming to me saying like, hey, I need help getting out of debt. Help me get out of debt. I'm drowning in debt. Okay, connect with that is saying lots of questions. So you might say, all right, credit cards. Might be like, hey, savings. How do I actually save anything while I'm trying to get out of debt? I need to save for the future, retirement, whatever it might be, that might be closely connected. But let's think a little bit closer. I want to make sure a trap that you can also fall into here is trying to have other hubs be directly connected to this hub. So like, okay, saving for retirement. It's not necessarily tied into debt. That could be its own hub. That could be its own different ecosystem. But in here it's saying, okay, savings while getting out of debt. Okay, that's more closely tied to this big topic of debt. Credit cards are awful. So saying, hey, lease versus buying a car. That's tied into debt. Another one might be, okay, how do I essentially, if I'm really concerned about debt, a big question might be, okay, collectors. How do I, I'm getting calls from collection agencies. Like, how do I make sure that I navigate those conversations and knowing, hey, I'm getting out of debt. It may not be at the pace that you want to, but I can help you get out of that. So all of these, whatever these different subtopics are, they can't just be standalone, because people say that I can read about how to have better conversations with collection agencies, but that really still doesn't fix the big problem. I'm still in debt. So when you create videos or articles that are answering each of these questions, each of these one-off questions about, like, hey, leasing versus car buying, saving while trying to get out of debt, credit cards, collection agencies, all these are tied into the big topic, saying if I just answer this question or this more specific question, and I don't really connect it to the bigger problems, and I haven't served my audience well. By saying, okay, I'm creating a video about how to save while getting out of debt, or how to basically get rid of your credit cards, and then at the end of that article, at the end of that video, then I say the big question is really, this is tied into getting out of debt. And if you've been watching this, there's a good chance that you're drowning in debt right now and you don't know what to do with it next. I'm here to show you, I've actually put together a 90-minute or 60-minute or whatever it might be. I put together a webinar series, I put together a training series, I've put together an online course or something like that that is specifically tied into that big problem. And so it's saying, like, yes, as I said earlier, now granted, your solution is not this topic, but you introduce this topic and then connect it to the solution. Instead of saying, like, hey, you want to get out of credit card debt? Hey, go ahead and take my 60-minute because it'll help you get out of credit card debt. It addresses the sub-problem. It doesn't address the bigger, that kind of macro problem of getting out of debt and staying out of debt. So in this situation, saying, okay, whatever your topic is, whatever your focus might be, saying, I need to identify what is that big problem that people keep coming to me for. They keep asking me questions about. They keep searching through the internet. They keep finding me because they have questions about this big problem, whatever it might be. But saying, how do I answer each of these sub-problems that are connected to that? And then I treat, by creating articles and videos that address each of these sub-problems in a specific way, it treats these sub-problems like feeders, feeding the interest of someone who comes to that article, comes to that video. It feeds their interest forward deeper into the ecosystem, into that larger conversation about debt. Or let's say, like, hey, a couple more ideas. So let's say let's get out of the financial space and out of the debt space and saying, okay, let's say that you're in health and wellness space, and essentially saying, like, hey, it's creating a healthier lifestyle that says, like, hey, what is a healthy body, a healthy wellness routine for me in the morning? Whether it's my morning routine, whether it's my meals, whether it's my mindset connected to wellness, and all this is saying, like, hey, how do I have a healthy lifestyle? Going from an unhealthy lifestyle to a healthy lifestyle. And part of that is the big problem. That's a big question that you're really helping people address, is this healthy lifestyle. But tied into that is, like, hey, might be meal planning while you're traveling. And part of this is also, having a healthier relationship with the scale. Scale's just a number. It doesn't define you. It doesn't have to define you. But in some of this is also knowing, like, hey, what are those sub-questions tied into that bigger question, that if we address these sub-questions better than anybody else, and it feeds your ideal prospect, your ideal client's interest from that feeder, from that sub-question or that more specific question into the larger question or the larger conversation, then helping them say, like, if you just read this video and there wasn't any connection to the larger conversation, I haven't served you well. And you're coming away saying, oh, that was nice. I think they answered my question, but I don't know what to do next. Now, we've got this idea of kind of a content hub, and making sure that you can choose a big topic, or you can choose kind of a more smaller topic, and you can create as many of these inside your business as you want to, but then what do you do next? Because, again, it's back to this idea of, like, here's this big topic. How do you help them go from, this is great information, but I don't know what to do next? Then layering in here are these deeper circles that you have inside your system, where it goes further and further and further down into this idea of as you have the commitment, because this is not a big commitment for somebody to read a 3 to 5 minute article or watch a 2 to 5 minute video. It's not a big commitment. But as they go into, hey, this could be a video series that goes into a, this could go into an online course, and then coaching, and it could be then like a VIP day. And the further you go into this idea of the ecosystem, the further you go into, the closer they are to actually having that proximity to you, so you can help them get the results they need faster than if they were to say, oh, I just watched a bunch of videos and it took me about 30 minutes and it gave me good information, that's good knowledge, and maybe even some transformation, but I need the access to know that somebody can give me the accountability. The deeper you go into the ecosystem, the more accountable you can be for your clients and what they're looking for. Now, all of this is saying, like, okay, how do I help people transition deeper into the ecosystem? What you do is you create these lead magnets, or these opportunities for somebody to say yes. How does somebody go from essentially watching a video into watching a series? What are these lines that are getting them deeper into the ecosystem? Those are lead magnet forms. Those are sometimes purchase pages. Those are upsell pages after an order page or a thank you page is completed. Goes to an upsell page. That's great. Thank you so much for purchasing that $20 product with this transformation and templates and these videos and whatnot. But what if you want the full training? What if you want this complete course and community that's tied in, whether it's a membership or whether it's a one-off purchase, whatever it might be, but it gives them opportunity to continue to say yes, so that they say, here's what, the closer I get to the problem, the closer I'm also identifying that solution, so people can say, this makes sense for me. So I've covered a lot of content, a lot of different information through here. If you're saying, John, I don't even know what to do with like my content, I don't even know what my big topics are, I will say that you can create as many of these ecosystems inside your business, saying like, identify that big problem. And let's say you have 3 big problems that you address in your company, like through your business. Create an ecosystem for each one of those big problems and identify the more specific questions that are tied into that bigger question for that big problem, and continue to serve and focus people inside each of those problems, so that they're not coming in saying, okay, that was a great article, and they're out. Give them links, give them opportunities to go, here's how to go next, here's how to go to the next step in this conversation about the bigger problem, to get to the solution, to get the impact and results you need with your life. Well, I know I've given you a lot of information. If you love what you're seeing, go ahead, hit that like, subscribe. And if you're saying, I don't even know where to get started, I don't know how to identify what my main topics are, or even knowing, okay, what are these subtopics and what are these supposed to be? You can go to workwithjohncook.com, fill out the form, or hop on a call. We'll talk about where you're at with your business, where you're at with your content. Likely you've been creating content that doesn't have a context. Creating a content ecosystem gives you a clear context, and most importantly, it gives your audience a clearer context, so they know, I know what to do next, and here's how this makes sense for me and my life moving forward. Make it a great day. We'll catch you next time.